Hello. Yes, we're going to talk today, my friends. We're going to talk about some really cool shit, and we're going to do a deep dive. Now, for those of you that don't have time to watch the whole video, I just want to say you're in for a real treat because I'm going to cut right to the chase right now. Although, if you want to come back and listen to the rest of it later, I'm going to dispel so many rumors and myths. It'll be worth your time. So let's cut right to the chase. Humans were placed on Earth around 200,000 years ago, and science has definitively proven it. It doesn't matter what scientist it is. It doesn't matter how establishment they are. It could be a complete atheist, Bible thumper. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're all going to look at the evidence and go, yeah, an intelligence did this. Now, even the most staunch table-pounding atheist scientist, when you ask them, well, okay, so an intelligence did this, who was it? They're going to go, I'm not going there with you. And they're just going to walk. So there's still some scientists are still in denial about who did this or what did this, but the evidence is so clear. It's 2 + 2 = 4, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. It's in our DNA. There's no denying that it was done intentionally. Even the most staunch table-pounding atheist is going to go, yeah, but that doesn't mean it was aliens, okay? Okay, dude. Telomeres. If you don't know what these are, Gregg Braden has done some really great videos about these. Just go to his channel, Gregg. If you're not sure where to find him, no problem. Go to the channels menu of my YouTube channel. And those are all the spiritual teachers that are going to treat you right. They're going to give you the legitimate spiritual teachings, legitimate information, legitimate philosophy, etc., etc. Gregg Braden is on there. Just peruse the videos section of his channel. You'll find them. Telomeres. Very, very interesting. Human chromosome number 2, how it was intentionally modified. And those are not his words. This comes from peer-reviewed scientific literature. Peer-reviewed scientific literature. I'll see if I can find the citation for that and put it down in the comments below for you. Not the comments, but the video description, because it did legit come out of a peer-reviewed scientific journal. This isn't just some dude in his basement making this stuff up, guys. Now, telomeres are totally, natural. It's part of our physiology. It's part of our DNA. Telomeres assist in the reproduction of DNA, and you have a limited amount. And with age, telomeres get shorter and shorter and shorter. This is why you age and get gray hair and all this kind of thing, because your DNA has less and less and less of an ability to regenerate itself properly. Now, there are ways to reverse that process. Again, Gregg Braden, go watch his video about telomeres. Maybe I'll just link to it. I'll go ahead and do that in the description box below. I will try to find the scientific journal for those of you who are curious to read it. It's a long read. It's very technical, but you're smart enough to do it. And this is really interesting. And also, this is extremely important. What the scientific literature, peer-reviewed scientific literature, is saying is that about 200,000 years ago, human chromosome number 2 was intentionally spliced. And you can tell because of the way that a telomere is fused in the middle of that chromosome. Telomeres, as you just saw, are naturally occurring. They are on the tips of the DNA strands, or of the chromosome, I should say. There are other places, although it is extremely rare. Out of hundreds of billions or potentially trillions of different chromosomes in nature, think of the billions of species of plants and animals that exist. There are a handful of other places where you find this kind of fusion. But here's the kicker. You ready for this? Somehow, certain DNA chemicals, so let me show you. So you've got the DNA, CTAG, right? Some of these DNA strands, some of these individual DNA, not the strand, but the DNA chemicals, I don't remember what they're called. I'm sorry. I do understand the science pretty well. But whatever the name for these items here, these individual CTAG chemicals, some of them were shut off because they would have interfered with the two chromosomes that were fused together. So we're talking again about human chromosome number 2. And if you leave these particular DNA chemicals active, you're probably going to get what would amount to like an immune response. Okay. So you know how like a heart transplant patient, they have to take anti-rejection drugs for the rest of their life because the body is doing its job. It recognizes that this particular heart is foreign. Okay. And so some of the exact perfect DNA components were shut off, were muted, so that that would not occur with this other chromosome that was fused. This was done intentionally 200,000 years ago, and this is peer-reviewed scientific literature. People that don't even believe in God or aliens or anything like this are looking at the evidence going, oh, well, okay, if that's the evidence, then that's the evidence. I don't understand it. I don't believe it's aliens. You know, some of them are going to say things like that. There's no way it was aliens. You guys and your crazy conspiracy theories. There's got to be a rational explanation for this. Okay, dude. But they can't deny that this is going on. We were placed on Earth 200,000 years ago. And the human chromosome number 2, it was engineered intentionally by an intelligence. It was not natural. This did not occur naturally, and that is exactly what the peer-reviewed literature is saying. Now, if you want to click off and come back to this video later, because like I said, I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive into all of the things, including addressing the attitudes of some of the scientists in our world today. I'm going to do that now, but it'll be worth your time. Trust me. So that's the deal. That's the core of what's going on here. This is new information. This is a product of the Human Genome Project. And I'm sure most of you know what that is. Now, let's address the attitudes of the scientists. And I do a very thorough song and dance in my Manifest Your Dream Life video course for the law of attraction about the science of the law of attraction. Guys, we were engineered. Our actual physical body is plugged directly in to the mental universe. Today, science is referring to it as the Higgs field, or just the field, right? They used to call it the ether, but you're not allowed to use that word anymore. It has to do with, you know, the etiquette in the scientific establishment, okay? But it's the same thing. It's the fabric of space. The human body is like a cable box, and you've got your cable plug, like cable television or your internet or something like that. In every country, the type of connector is different, but you have your modem or your cable box and you plug it into the wall, and it's plugged into this whole big network, right? Right. That's you. You're plugged into the Higgs field, which is the mental universe. And this goes way back beyond ancient Egypt, which is what's behind me, right? We're talking ancient Hermetic philosophy, 6, 7, 8,000 plus 15,000 years ago, right? Hermes Trismegistus, who was the mentor of none other than Abraham. Yes, the biblical Abraham. And the very first thing that you're taught in this philosophy is mentalism. The universe is mental. So the fabric of space, the Higgs field, think of it this way. And we're the only creature on Earth that's able to do this. We were engineered, guys. This was done intentionally. Okay? We even have special cells. There's 40,000 of them in our heart, and there's another 40,000 in our head. I want to say it's on the pineal gland. Don't quote me on that. I believe that's where it is in the brain, but I do know that it is in the brain. And there's another 40,000 on the heart, and there's special cells that communicate with each other. That's why you have, like the Heart Math Institute in California, teaching people how you can have coherence between your heart and your brain. And I'll even link the Gregg Braden video down below where he talks about that. I'm going to hook it up pretty fat today for you guys. We don't mess around at New World All-Star. Yes, the law of attraction is real. Yes, I want this to work for you. And yes, I have the best tools there are on the market today. So to describe the mental universe, it's like the mind of God. And then I'm going to talk about the scientific establishment and how they are trying to say that you're a lunatic if you believe in this stuff and that there's no evidence, even though there's a whole bunch of evidence. There's no evidence, really. Then what about all this evidence? I mean, just look behind me. And these are not the only structures on Earth, guys. I'm going to give you a documentary that you can watch about. There's way more going on around the planet than just the pyramids. It'll blow your freaking mind how much evidence there is. And they're even finding more in Antarctica. We're being prepped for a return of whoever these people were, too, by the way. That's another thing. Okay, so the mental universe, it's a bath of energy. The Higgs field. So outer space, anywhere in the cosmos you want to talk about, where it appears to be a vacuum, empty space. It's really a matrix. It's a field. And it's not very hard for you to visualize if you think about, for example, Earth's atmosphere, right? And if you're sitting here in a room, there's no fan blowing, there's no air conditioning, there's no draft, it's just still air. You don't even think about it. And it's like before the institution of science, maybe people didn't even realize. I mean, I guess they did. I mean, it's kind of hard to miss when the wind is blowing. But there is a field of substance. You're in a bath of atmosphere, air. And here's how you detect it. Blow on your hand. Right? You feel the air blowing on your hand. And that's essentially what's going on at the Large Hadron Super Collider, CERN, which operates the Large Hadron Super Collider. They have verified that this field exists. And even some of the components of Einsteinian physics are being challenged, which is really mind-blowing because truth be told, Einstein's theory of relativity has been validated so many times. And actually, if it wasn't for, ironically, if it wasn't for Einstein's theory of relativity, a lot of these discoveries wouldn't have been made. And these discoveries are actually challenging some of his theories. So, still having my coffee. So that is the mental component of the universe. Now, you know how you're a three-part triune being, body, mind, soul, right? So God is the same. Or you could call it the all. And there's a philosophical reason for that. And the philosophy of that matters. I'm not going to get into that today. If you want to take my manifesting course, it's not expensive. I got payment plans. And it's 26 hours. You're not going to have any questions. Well, you will when you're done, but I don't leave any stone unturned. So you got body, mind, soul. Right now, the universe is only two components of the all, or God, right? Physical matter, so planets, stars, nebulae, space dust, galaxies, right? Physical matter, body. Mind, we just talked about that. That's the Higgs field. Dark energy is what they call it. There's even a duality. You've got dark matter and dark energy. Dark matter being a contracting force, which is what holds galaxies together. Galaxies should be flying apart because they're spinning so fast, but they don't. Right, there's a glue that holds them together called dark energy. It's a contracting force, so a negative force. And it's not negative as in bad, it's negative as in energy. It's a contracting force. And then you have dark energy, which is an expanding force, positive. It expands. So you got positive, negative, expanding, contracting, yin, yang. Everything is duality in the universe. Even atoms, right? Positive proton, negative electron, neutral neutron even. And neutrons are interesting because when they are released, it's pure energy. It's pure energy. Now, that's the universe, physical matter and mental. So the body and mind of God. The third, which is, it's been called the Father, right? You could call it the great mystery. You could call it the self, the ultimate self, right? The self where you and I, like everybody, is all one. I'm not talking about individualized souls. For those of you that are twin flame people, you know, a soul is a holographic individualized soul, which is a representation, a fractal piece of the whole, WHOLE. It's like you look at like the leaf of a tree, and it is kind of shaped like the tree. It's like a fractal, but there's many leaves on the tree. That's a soul. Okay, I'm talking about the source, which is like you go a layer deeper than the soul itself. That's the ultimate self, the true self, the Father, which is the great mystery. It's non-duality. You can't even have mathematics. You can't even represent it with the number 0 or the number 1. It's beyond concept. It's the great mystery. Now, it's consciousness, so you can experience that. And it's the source of all things. To seek ultimate reality is to follow explanations until explanations end. I got that from Robert Lawrence Kuhn. Consciousness is fundamental and irreducible. From consciousness comes thought. From thought comes physical matter. So soul, mind, body is the correct order, I suppose. The Father, the mental universe, and then physical reality. Right. Now, you were engineered to plug directly into the mental universe. Have you ever heard somebody say that to manifest using the law of attraction means that you're going to cause something on the energetic plane first, or something along those lines? Right. Now you know why that is. And even quantum physics is investigating a new theory called information realism, which is saying exactly that. As soon as they proved quantum entanglement and found the Higgs field, that's when a lot of physicists were like, wait a minute. What if the substrate of reality is information? And I'm going to, again, cite some other resources for you about that down below, about information realism. So a substrate, in case you don't know what that word means, is think of like the frame of an automobile. And I mean just the frame. No wheels, no axles, no engine, nothing. It's the frame. To the frame, you attach all the other components, all of the other components, right? The frame is the substrate of the car. Or think of one of those, I don't remember what they're called, but it's like knitting or crochet where you start with a piece of plastic and it's got a bunch of holes in it and you knit a design through the holes. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that plastic frame is the substrate. Okay. So information, this is what they're saying. These are conventional physicists, PhD. They're the head of large institutions. This isn't some guy in his basement. These are very intelligent, prominent scientists with a lot of accolades and respect in the scientific establishment. Okay. They are the ones who are saying information could be the substrate of physical reality. And that would certainly explain the collapse of the wave function, which is what you observe during the double slit experiment. And if you don't know what that is, just Google it. Did I just blow your mind? So there is a rational explanation to the mechanics of manifesting. Yes, it's a real thing. Yes, there is a mechanism. It's not magic. It's just technology. Okay, it's there. There's a saying that I've said many times: science or magic is just science undiscovered. If I take this cell phone on a time machine, so right off the bat, a time machine, but never mind that part. I got the cell phone and I take it back to 1798, right after the founding of the United States, right? And Benjamin Franklin was around, and everybody knows who that is. He was a scientist. He was recognized as being, a very brilliant scientist of the day. He invented a lot of really cool things. Now I'm walking through a village with my cell phone, and even if I don't get cell phone service, I can play a video, I can play sound with it, I can take pictures. People are going to look at that and they're going to go, that is magic. Some people might even call me a witch. Now, let's say I run into old Benjamin Franklin. He's going to go, wait. That's really cool. But this guy is saying that he came from the future. And I don't know, he's got this weird technology. We just don't understand it. It's just technology that we haven't figured out yet. It's not magic, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you about the law of attraction. Yes, it's real. Yes, there's a mechanism. Again, ancient Hermetic philosophy it's like every time I turn around, the science of the last 20 years is proving out ancient Hermetic philosophy. And I've spoken about this a lot of times on this channel, even the fundamentals of twin flames. Science has been in alignment with that for a long time. Now, let's address the controversy in the scientific establishment. Number one, there should not be a scientific establishment. It is antithetical to science. And I guess you could argue that there should be. Okay. But at the same time, if you're going to do something like that, okay. But when you have a certain ideology that holds power, like we are the official scientists who get to approve your ability to be recognized also as a scientist, then any new scientists who come onto the scene, they better watch what they say. See how that works? And guys, this conversation is as old as science itself. You know, they used to jail people for saying the earth was round. And it's not hard to prove that the earth is round, by the way. If there's any flat earthers watching this video, you need to get off this YouTube channel. If I see comments down below, you're getting blocked. I do not have time for that crap. All you need is an automobile and a day off, and you can prove the earth is round. I don't have time for that crap. Okay? It's not necessary for us to argue over what the solution to 1 + 1 is. We have bigger and better things to do. We got bigger fish to fry, okay? We're talking about motherfucking aliens creating humans 200,000 years ago, and the evidence is in, dude. It's there. Even the establishment scientists that refuse to acknowledge the existence of extraterrestrials, and they can be very pompous, even they acknowledge at least the evidence. Here's another thing. The evidence. So there's a documentary below. It's called Chariots of the Gods. I recommend using the link that I have down below in the description box for this documentary. The reason being, you can go to YouTube and type in Chariots of the Gods, and you're going to find versions that have been posted, several versions that have been posted of this same documentary that may even have slightly better sound and or visual quality than the link that I've posted below. Although the link that I've posted below is the best sound visual quality, where the documentary film itself is uncut. I do not know why. There is an extremely popular upload on YouTube, which has slightly better visual and sound quality, but it's like they sped it up. So the guy's voice is like really annoying to listen to. It's like going faster. I've seen this documentary probably 30 times. I mean it. It's actually a lot of fun to watch. It'll make you feel like a kid again, right? It came out in 1970. And so it's got the old, cool, groovy 1970 music, you know? And it does. It'll make you feel like a kid again, dude. It's like when I was a kid in the 80s and you would get to the classroom and you see the film projector set up and you knew it was going to be a good day. You know what I mean? Or they even had like some VHS back then, you know, like 83, 84. There was VHS. And kind of the same thing, but I just get so excited when I watch it because it's just, you just let your mind go and it's just, it'll take your breath away, all the evidence that there is. But here's the thing about this particular version down below. The other ones that I've seen on YouTube, they like cut little 5-second, 6-second snippets out along the way, and they speed up the speed of the film, the playback speed. And it's kind of stupid because the stuff that they cut out is like, why? Like they're not hiding anything. It's like useless editing. I don't even know why they did it. So just watch the link down below that I have. It's the best sound and video quality of the uncut version of Chariots of the Gods. Eric von Daniken. So he goes around the world in the 1960s, and we're talking, you know, it's not like today where it's still, or I should say, it is relatively easy to get to some of these harder to find places, right? Back in the 1960s, you still had to like walk in or get in a Jeep and drive through. And like with your machete, like cutting through brush and fighting lions and shit like this in the jungle. And just, I mean, it's not like that today to get to some of these places that he went to. And then it's him and his cameraman. And, you know, cameras back in the 60s were pretty big, and they had to haul all this equipment and all this water. And it's like the real deal safari guy going out into the world doing the real shit, like more hardcore than Indiana Jones. Okay. Only this is somebody that really did it. Okay. This shit will blow your mind. Eric Von Daniken. And guys, the pyramids behind me, there's thousands of sites around the earth. And in addition to pyramids, right, there's other objects too. There are granite stones the size of a 15-story skyscraper just laying in between two huge mountains, and they've been transported, you know, 400 or 500 miles. And oh, they used wooden rollers, really, over the fucking mountain? Did they tell you that in school? They're telling everybody, oh, yeah, they built the pyramids with wooden rollers. Not very likely. And then they never say anything about this other object that I just mentioned. And that's not the only thing, guys. There's thousands of things like this, and they don't talk about it on TV, in schools. They don't talk about it. They don't talk about it. You guys got to watch this documentary all the way to the end too, because you got to see it. Like one of the very last artifacts that he shows at the very end is it's really hard to get into. It's this particular ancient ruin, and they don't let anybody in there. He had to try to get the locals to let him in and film this thing. And it's a carving of a guy, you know, carved into the stone wall in a spacecraft. There's spacecraft everywhere. And that's not all. There's also hundreds of written texts from ancient religions that you've never even heard of. And they're every place all over the world. And they all say the same thing. They all tell the same story. The book of Genesis, they've found them in places that predate the Bible by like 4,000 years. So you got the DNA, you got all these artifacts, you got all these ancient texts. You've got also the military coming out and going, yeah, there's these objects. We don't know who they are, but they're not from Earth. Have a nice day. I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but that was in 2021 at the height of the pandemic. The C word, right? Right when there was the big distraction with the C word, right at the height of that hysteria, that's when they kind of like down here, just kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, there's aliens. They came right out. The Pentagon, they came right out. The United States military. Yep. Yeah, there's these craft flying around. They're not from Earth. They're not Russians. They're not Chinese. We don't know what they are. You know, it'd be like if you're in the middle of a football stadium and you're trying to yell down at the players on the field, hey, there's aliens. Are they going to hear you? No, because there's 10,000 people screaming around you. That's why they released that information in the height of the hysteria going on with the C word in 2021. They always do that. I can make a whole video about propaganda, but I digress. So you've got all this evidence, just an overwhelming amount of evidence. And here's these scientists, if you can even call them that, saying there's no evidence. Really, what about all this evidence? And they just found more shit under Antarctica. The NASA satellite radar images, infrared images. You know, they have deep scanning radar that can take pictures under the ice from space. And there's huge, massive, artificial, man-made, or somebody made them, structures in Antarctica. Guys, there is an overwhelming amount of evidence. Now, not all scientists think this way, so this was kind of my point. I'm going to tie this together. It's like half and half. Half the scientists are like, no way. And then the other half of the scientists are like, I don't know, dude. I can't ignore this anymore. We need to have a dialogue about this, guys. And that's what's up. A lot of scientists, they are talking about this stuff. And good for them. So, no, there is not a consensus. And whenever you hear somebody say, there's a consensus, you probably need to ask a lot of questions of that person or just ignore them. The science is settled. Science is never settled. Anybody who says the science is settled doesn't know a damn thing about what science is. Science is where you question the shit out of something. And then if it remains standing, then it must be the best thing we have, the best evidence we have. You don't just accept everything at face value. You ask a bunch of questions and nothing is ever proven. You guys remember, I don't know if they even teach this in schools anymore, the scientific method. And by the way, a theory, nothing can ever be proven. Nothing can ever be proven. Nothing can ever be proven. You can have data, you can have evidence. For example, yeah, our DNA was altered by an intelligence. It was not natural. It was done with intent. Their words. Okay, that's evidence. Now, to make a theory around that, that's where you're getting into these guys behind me. Whoever built those things, along with all the other artifacts around the earth that they're not talking about, and the ancient texts, hundreds and hundreds, guys. Not just like a couple, like, oh, the Sumerian texts. No, there's way more. Nobody's talking about it. Go watch Chariots of the Gods. So there you go, guys. That's everything I got. We're being prepped for some kind of a return. And at the same time, remember, you are an engineered creation machine. Whoever created us engineered us to be able to create with our thoughts. Yes, this is a real thing, guys. There's no other living thing on earth that can do that. Think about it. Pun intended. See ya.